At a small church on the outskirts of Darwin, a group of women step back in time.
And remember when we used to have to line up? Like soldiers?
The group forged a special bond in unlikely circumstances.
We grew up with one another as brothers and sisters, and we had that, strong bond and love for one another, and we just kept together wherever we went.
They or their relatives were removed from their families as children and taken to Croker Island, a remote Methodist mission 200 kilometres from Darwin.
They just showed me a packet of lollies to sweeten me up a bit so that I wouldn't cry as much. And they were just taking me away. I was crying and holding my mum's leg, and she was crying as well. It's only natural, No mothers like their children to be taken off them.
I found my mother years and years and years ago. Too many years had passed. Like I said, just too upsetting for her and for me, and we never really made a connection. We never really got on, Too many years had passed.
I think this is me here.
Eileen Cummings was 4 years old when she was taken from her home at a cattle station in Arnhem Land in 1948.
Oh, look here. This man comes in his khaki clothes, he comes to the veranda and says, "You want to go for a ride in the truck?" And I said, "Yeah." I thought that was a great idea. I didn't know what was happening because he didn't tell me he was taking me.
She was taken to Croker Island, where she would be raised by missionaries for the next 13 years. For Eileen, there were happy memories, but always tinged with sadness.
None of us felt loved, except we started to show affection to each other, So we became brothers and sisters. And so that was the way we sort of got through it, because none of the missionaries ever showed us any.
She wasn't allowed to speak her language or practice her culture, and she was told nothing about her family.
We were crying for our mothers, and we were saying, "We want our mummy, we want our mummy," and they just said, "Oh, your mummy gone." And to us, because we were raised in the Aboriginal context, gone meant you'd died.
It wasn't until 15 years later that Eileen, now training to become a kindergarten teacher, reunited with her mother.
And I said, "Do you know who I am?" And she said, "Yeah, you're my daughter Eileen that they stole." That's all she said. And I said, "Oh, okay." I was upset, yeah, because for years and years I longed to see my mother. And then I see this woman and there's no real reaction in her, but how can you blame her,
Over time, Eileen reconnected with her family and culture.
What about for grandmother, grandfather?
And rebuilt her relationship with her mother.
I sat down with her and I said, "Mum, you know why they took me?" And she said, "No." "Why did they take you, Eileen?" "I had a job. I was working on the cattle station. I was doing all the right things." She couldn't understand what this white system was doing, and she didn't know. No matter how many times I tried to explain to her, she couldn't quite understand what this government was doing and why they were doing it. That was the worst part about it all, I think, but at least I had 15 years with her before she died. And not many of our stolen generation people have had that.
The time has now come for the nation to turn a new page.
It's estimated that as many as 1 in 3 Indigenous children were removed from their families under government policies over a 60-year period.
For the pain, suffering and hurt of these stolen generations, their descendants and for their families left behind, we say sorry. Mr. Speaker, I commend the motion to the House.
crying and we were really excited about the apology. But then after the apology, everything just went flat.
All you got in the Northern Territory was one word: sorry. It meant nothing then, and it means nothing now.
More than 20 years ago, a landmark report called for survivors to be compensated. The Northern Territory is one of the only jurisdictions without a compensation scheme. Their responsibility rests with the Commonwealth, which governed the territory for much of the 20th century.
Hundreds of stolen generation survivors in the Northern Territory are suing the federal government for forcibly removing them from their families as children.
Eileen, now 78, is the lead claimant in a class action suing the federal government.
We're just saying, just give us something to live the rest of our lives and do a funeral plan so that our children don't have to worry about burying us.
The legal process could take precious years. For Eileen, it's the memory of her mother that gives her the strength to keep fighting.
Because sooner or later the government has to turn a corner and start acknowledging this thing happened to us children in the Northern Territory and to other children around Australia and to our mothers and our people.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.